Arsenal currently sit top of the league on goal difference with just 10 games left to play. But realistically, can they actually win, and do they have the hardest running out of all the teams in the title race? Well, let's get into it and let's have a look. Now, it may seem a bit weird to be talking about the Premier League considering Arsenal don't play in it for a few weeks and the Champions League draw just happened, but I did a video about the Champions League yesterday and I will be doing another one alongside this video today. Now, a really interesting question that Thierry Henry asked on CBS to David Raya and Bukayo Saka was, do you want to win the Premier League or the Champions League this season? Now, I've been thinking about this, and let's say hypothetically we can only win one and we are guaranteed to win one. It's a very hard question. We've never really won the Champions League before, but I've never seen us win a Premier League, and it has been a long time since then. I also think the Premier League right now probably has more integrity and pedigree in winning it. When Henry asked these questions to these players, David Raya actually said both, and Bukayo Saka said the Premier League, which I think is a very valid answer. Now, both are very hard to win, and it's very likely we won't win either of them this season, but we definitely have a chance being in very good spots in both competitions. Also, our Champions League draw is out, and that is considerably harder. That is a really hard draw, and we've got a lot of games that there you don't really want to play against Bayern, or even if we win that Man City or Real Madrid, and out of anything the final would probably be easier. But the Premier League is a different ball game. As much as if Arsenal won every single game to the end of the season they would probably win the league, we can't really expect that to happen with the Champions League games, and also the fact they've still got to play massive games away at Old Trafford, obviously away at the Etihad at the end of the month. It also comes down to other games. We have to look at Liverpool and Manchester City and what they do outside of playing Arsenal, and if they can get the results that they need in them games. Liverpool still have some very hard games, and so do Man City. But when we look at the last 10 games, I'm looking at this stat by Opta Analysis. If you haven't seen this, they did a computer that analysed all of the recent games and all the last games they played and have a difficulty level of how they play. Now, Arsenal sit at 5th for the hardest difficulty games they've got to play, while Liverpool sit 14th and Manchester City sit 12th. Now, this is still largely to the fact that Liverpool and Manchester City just played each other, and obviously Arsenal have to play Manchester City next. When that game is over against Manchester City, I actually think ours comes down quite a lot. So really, if we get a result in that game, it actually makes the stats look a little bit better. And looking at our last 10 games, obviously there are some that you expect to be really hard. Obviously, you got the Manchester City away game, and I know our record this season specifically has been good against them, but obviously anything can happen in that game. And you've also got away games like Tottenham and Manchester United that have caused us a lot of problems in the past. Despite teams like Manchester United not exactly playing incredibly well right now, they seem to always have an edge on us at Old Trafford, and even last season they were the first and only game we lost for the first 5 months of the season. There's also other games here that I'm very interested about. Obviously, we've got the Brighton away game, which we did win last year, but they obviously beat us at the Emirates, and Brighton always seem to get one over us. They haven't this season in the one game we've played so far, but it's also a game that we have struggled in, and we know Robert De Zerbi is a very good manager and could cause us a lot of problems. And obviously there's games specifically I think could be very interesting, like the Aston Villa at home game with Unai Emery coming back. Obviously they beat us at their place, and specifically the Chelsea at home game. We don't know when it's going to be rearranged right now, and that might seem a weird one to you guys because Chelsea have been awful this season, but Chelsea are actually better against teams that like having the ball against them. They always turn up against the actual better sides because it helps their counter-attacking system a lot more than if they were to play a side that would allow Chelsea to have the ball. And we saw it at Stamford Bridge. It did cause us some serious problems, and they really should have got a result in that game. They threw it away and we got 2 late goals and ended up could have won it. And I'm worried maybe some of that stuff could happen at the Emirates unless we really kick in and get in our gear, depending on when it is actually being played, because we could still have Champions League games around then. Of course, it's important to look at our games because I think they're very important. Let's have a look at Liverpool and Manchester City games, because obviously Man City have the Brighton away game like we do, and the Villa at home game which we also have. So if we sort of match their results or do better, then you can expect a little bit of improvement there. We've also got Tottenham away, which is a very hard game for us, but probably even harder for Manchester City. As much as our record there hasn't been great in the past, we did win there last year of course, Manchester City always get done by Tottenham in some way or the other, and Tottenham have some sort of mental grasp on Manchester City, which I have no idea how. Other than that, you really expect Manchester City to win all their remaining games, but they haven't been playing really well brilliantly very recently, so some of these games could see a bit of a problem, such as maybe your Forest's away or even West Ham at home if they do their brilliant counter-attacking system. And I think if you're Liverpool in this situation, you're very happy. I think their games are way more advantageous than the other two. They've got Brighton, but they play them at home. They've got Sheffield at home, expect them to win that easily. They have got also another game against Manchester United away. Man United got to play all them big boys at home still, and they do have big games like Villa away and Tottenham at home, which I think also are going to be really crucial, as well as that West Ham away game. So it depends on Liverpool's grasp. They haven't been really that good in away games recently in the Premier Premier League, and a lot of their sub players have come in and done really well. When they're playing teams such as West Ham and Tottenham and Villa, that's going to be where it gets really interesting, especially with the business end of the season. Liverpool are going to be going further in the Europa League, and they're going to put more resources to that eventually as it goes on. And if they beat Manchester United this weekend at Old Trafford, that will be the FA Cup, and they can go even further into the next round of that competition as well. So while Man City also have the FA Cup to think about, Arsenal do just have this Champions League, but obviously that is a big thing. So these are all going to matter when it comes down to it, of all these teams have to focus on different things. And Opta actually have a supercomputer that simulates all the games for the most expected results and past results, sort of getting it all together. Obviously it's not exact, it's definitely never like that. Football isn't just a stats thing and you can't predict it. But right now Arsenal actually went up 5% chance of winning it from last week because of the draw against Man City and Liverpool. So now they sit at 18% chance of actually winning the league, which is considerably lower than Liverpool on 35% and Manchester City who are on 45%. But that doesn't really matter. It doesn't really say much to me if Arsenal are going to win the league or not. I still think now, if you look this season, it's going to be harder than last year, but in a sense I think the team is a lot better, and mentally I think Arsenal have came over a lot from getting over that last year. Obviously the fact that Liverpool are in it now makes it a lot different. They've got their own reasons to win the league, and obviously Klopp's going to want to do it. And realistically, even though some of the games are going to be hard for some teams, if any of them slip up they really could be out of it. Even if Arsenal lose to Manchester City in their next game in the Premier League, that could be it. Manchester City might go on and win every single game, or Liverpool do, and Arsenal may not even get a chance to come back, so every single time matters. And at least getting a draw in games like that are very important, as much as they definitely are going to need some sort of wins against Tottenham, Manchester United and Brighton away. As long as they don't lose too many points in these games, they should be okay, because at the end of the day they've just got to match or better the other teams around them. And if Liverpool and Man City, I personally think, are also going to drop points for the rest of the season, I don't think they are going to go flawless. I think they have a lot to focus on, and a lot of players are still coming back from injury for both teams. And I think in a way both of them will obviously want the Premier League, but because they have both won it, I don't think they're going to want it as much as Arsenal. And I think they're going to want other trophies. In a sense, I think Liverpool want another European trophy. It might just be the Europa League, but I think it's more than that to Klopp and the team. And while I think Manchester City want to win the FA Cup and the Champions League again a bit more, because they've won the Premier League 4 years in a row now. And I think honestly this is probably going to come down to Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur have a stint near the end of the season in a row where they play Man City at home, Arsenal at home and Liverpool away. Now them 3 games could determine who actually wins the league. Tottenham are also having a decent season themselves, and I expect them probably to get top 4s, and they can dictate everything above them. If they get a result against one of them teams and not the other 2, that could really put that team out of it. Or if they get results against 2 teams and one of them wins against them, then that could be considerably bad for the other 2, and that could even lift the other team to win it. But nothing that's in doubt is that this is going to be a great title race with 3 brilliant teams, and as much as there is a lot of competition in the Premier League, the fact they are able to excel that well this season is special, and they're all still doing very well in Europe and really flying the flag for England. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know who you think is going to win the league, and let me know if you think Arsenal can actually do it. If you like this video, go and watch my video yesterday where I talk about how Arsenal can beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Thank you for watching.